Marvin, we have some more Raider football this week against the Steelers. The Raiders defeated the Jets last week, and the Pittsburgh Steelers fell to the Bengals. Both games were, well, it was kind of a tale of two different stories. For the Raiders, they pretty much came out and punched the Jets in the mouth. The Steelers had a tough fight with the Bengals, but they fell. Final score, I believe, was 16-10.
16-10, and Oakland won last week, 34-20. So,
really quick, well, for the Raiders, you gotta like what they did. I mean, yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick was only in there for the first series, but Geno Smith came in, and the Raiders shut him down. I know that's not saying a whole lot, but hey, Geno beat him last year in New York, so the Raiders got a little bit of revenge, and they beat the Jets, and they continue to roll.
Yeah, this defense has certainly stepped up in the past few weeks. What I'm most excited about is how prolific this offense is. 2 weeks in a row, this offense has put up 30 more points, and they've really come out the gate these last 2 weeks and just been firing on all cylinders on offense. I mean, whether it's Amari or not, Cooper didn't even have a touchdown this week. Only it was limited to like 50 receiving yards, and we had 2 touchdowns from Andre Holmes and a touchdown from Crabtree. And this offense is really looking good.
Yeah, I believe Cooper was targeted 6 times. The first play of the game looked like Carr tried to hit Cooper on a deep pass. The safety came over the top, did a good job taking that away. Although Cooper did have a step on Revis. A big part of his...
A better throw could have made the play, but...
Yeah, but, look, Carr missed the throw on the outside shoulder or throwing it out of bounds, so that way there was no chance at an interception. You got to like that play.
Yeah. I think the play more... better is just actually just throwing it up there and making a defense respect you. This team, this Oakland offense, a huge difference from a year ago is they're actually attacking now. I mean, they're not on their heels. They're putting defenses on their heels, and they're attacking them in several different ways.
Yeah, there's multiple ways this team can do it, and that really, I mean, if it's not Cooper, if it's not Crabtree, you got you guys like Seth Roberts, Clive Walford, Andre Holmes, who can come in.
Tywan Jones with the
exactly. I mean, a backup running back, and when he gets the edge on the outside on a lot of those sweep toss plays, it's over. I mean, on that one run that he had, I counted like 5 missed tackles from Jets defenders. So when he gets in space, he's going to make defenders miss. This is the Steelers team up front. They're very good up front. They have some questions on the back end. They do have Antoine Blake, who we were talking about this earlier. He had that interception last week against the Bengals off Andy Dalton.
Yeah, red zone.
Yeah, and that was a good. I mean, so far Blake has, I believe, 112 yards worth of interception returns, and he also has a pick 6.
Wow. Yeah, so he's definitely going to be a big player in that secondary. That secondary is not a strength to me on that defense, like you said. We were talking about earlier. Antoine Blake is a highlight player, in my opinion, for how he's been playing the last couple of weeks, due to the secondary is not their strength, and where we're going to see most of this team is the front 7 with those linebackers and Bud Dupree. Shazier is a really great athlete in space, and he can really go sideline to sideline. Bud Dupree, the rookie, has been playing great this year, and their down lineman Cameron Hayward's been playing a great year so far. So they have a lot of their talent comes in that front 7.
Yeah, that's what they rely on. They get to the quarterback, they do a good job, and they get pressure too. When you speak of Bud Dupree, he has 4 sacks this year, and he's also a guy. He's not strictly limited to rushing the passer. They can drop him back and play coverage. That'll be a good matchup to watch. Him versus Raider running backs coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, they do so many different stunts. They don't attack from. They attack in so many different angles. Because with the 3-4, I mean, the Steelers have been known for this. These are younger players, but they still do a lot of what they used to do. They put these linebackers out here in space and use them like chess pieces and attack in different angles and confuse defenses. So their linebackers are going to be probably, in my opinion, the biggest impact players on that defense.
Yeah, I agree too, and this is their first year in quite some time without defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau, as he obviously moved on to Tennessee, but they're doing a good job replacing him, and they got a lot of young talent, especially up front. Also Jarvis Jones and James Harrison, 2 guys that can sub in and sub out for each other and place there on that right outside linebacker position. It'll be imperative for the Raiders to pick up the blitz. Otherwise, the Steelers could put a screeching halt to this offensive momentum, especially on the road.
I believe the left side of this line is up to the task. Like I said before, Penn, Jackson, and Hudson. I mean, these guys are all top 5 in their position in this league so far. So I do believe this line will be able to hold up. I do think the Steelers can find some leaks on the right side of the line with Austin Howard
Jamarcus Webb.
Jamarcus Webb. So, yeah, I think they can find some weaknesses, but this is also for the Steelers. This is not going to be an easy offensive line to play against. I mean, this is the Jets, Oakland offensive line that just basically stonewalled this Jets pass defense.
And you look at the talent they had up front.
Yeah, so the Raiders are starting to show me growth a lot. I did doubt them last week. I did not think they'd be able to just shut down that defense so easily. So it does give me insight to think that they're up to blocking these guys.
But one of my matchups to watch for is indeed James Harrison versus Donald Penn. Harrison, I mean, those are two true veterans, Penn and Harrison. Harrison up there in his upper 30s, still continues to play really good football. I mean, he played in Cincinnati, I believe, briefly. He had a stint there last year, but then came back to the Steelers, and then they get him back this year, and he continues to play well. It's going to be, I think, extremely imperative for the Raiders to get some offensive flow going early in the game. Otherwise, like I said, on the road, this is going to be a true test for the Raiders on the road. They're 1-1 in East Coast time zones this year. They lost a tough game to the Bears. They beat the Browns. That was a close game. They easily should be 2-0, but this is the best team they've played so far in the East Coast.
East Coast games are definitely harder, especially for a West Coast team. And if the Raiders can continue what they've been building off the last few weeks, they've really been cleaning up the mistakes. They're playing smart football. Derek Carr has 0 interceptions since the bye week, so they're protecting the football. Latavius Murray's not having any fumbling issues as of lately. They're really just playing smart football, and when you score and you don't turn the ball over, you're playing efficient football, and you give yourself such a high chance, especially when in the East Coast.
Yeah, when you mentioned Carr's interceptions, I believe he has 3 of them. One of them was due to miscommunication between him and Seth Roberts, which was a pick 6 against Chris Harris Jr. and the Broncos. The other was a tip, or not a tip pass,
off the pads of Latavius
Murray. Yeah, it should have been caught. And then the only true interception, in my opinion, is the one that against the Ravens, where he kind of threw it up to grabs. But he was able to overcome that, and they won that game. Really quick here, let's get to some of the injuries in this game. The Steelers are extremely banged up. The big injury in this game is Le'Veon Bell, who's on IR. He's done for the season. That's a big loss for them.
It's a huge loss, Le'Veon Bell, but like Coach Jack Del Rio said, the drop-off isn't as big as you think. I mean, because Le'Veon Bell's a great talent, but DeAngelo Williams has been playing as number 1 back for years in Carolina, and so he comes over to Pittsburgh, and the first 2 games, the guy was playing lights out when Le'Veon was suspended.
Yeah.
So I do think, it's going to be. It's not like we're not playing no running back this week. We still have a huge handful. DeAngelo Williams will give us all we can handle.
Yeah, I agree. And they signed a running back this week, but Jordan Todman and Dre Archer will do most of the backing up for DeAngelo Williams.
I think Dre Archer actually was just cut.
To replace? Okay.
Dre Archer was cut. So, and they got someone named Pugh, I believe. I don't know what his name is. Something Pugh. They signed him actually Sunday or Monday, just the day.
Yeah, you wonder how many carries or how much involved he will be in the offense with just 1 week of preparation.
Dre Archer was their return man, and they actually signed Jacoby Jones.
I saw that too. I was wondering if he's going to be active. They got a bunch of receivers, a bunch of playmakers. He's just one additional playmaker on that list.
Yeah, he's got speed. And, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger has got probably a top 3 or 4 arm in the league. So, the deep ball is going to be very imperative, like you said, to stop this Steelers offense.
DeAngelo Williams has 63 carries this season, 310 yards. He's averaging nearly 5 yards per carry, 4.9 to be exact, and he already has 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, you're right. It's the drop-off isn't going to be huge. They're still going to be facing a good running back. The biggest thing for me, we were talking about this before the show, the Raiders are, I believe you said, the second-ranked run defense in the NFL as of now, correct?
Yes, correct.
So you take away DeAngelo Williams if the Raiders can do so early, and that forces Big Ben, who was a little bit agile last week. He wasn't as his old self. I mean, he has 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this season, but I mean, certainly a healthy Big Ben is single-handedly capable of defeating the Raiders. Although if he's not healthy and they're not running the football, that's big for the Raiders.
Certainly, Ben Roethlisberger, he did look a little antsy in the pocket last week, coming off that injury.
Yep.
He did have 3 interceptions, probably played one of his worst games this year. And, I expect him to come out this game and play lights out better compared to his performance last week. They are at home, so That's going to be a big part of it. And Ben Roethlisberger is an elite quarterback at this point. There's not many great quarterbacks who put together 2 bad games in a row.
Yeah, I agree, and he's one of the best, so you would expect him to be on top of his game. Big Ben at home this year, 4 touchdowns, just the 3 interceptions, all 3 of them last week. He has a 68.06 completion percentage. Interesting, on the road he actually has a better completion percentage, 74.9. At the end of the day, it averages to be about a 70% completion percentage, which is up there in the league. Certainly, you mentioned how Mike Vick and Landry Jones, their completion percentage, not nearly anywhere close to Big Ben. I mean, those completions, like you said, they equal touchdowns and big gains. And against a 31st Raiders pass defense, that's going to be big.
Yeah, Landry Jones was at like a 52.8 completion percentage, and Mike Vick was right at 60. So Ben Roethlisberger's, like you said, completing about 70% of his passes, and that's a huge change. This team was 2-2 without Ben Roethlisberger, and just completing 10% more of your passes, averaging more yards per pass with a great arm for Ben Roethlisberger. It makes this team so much more explosive on offense.
Yeah, they already have a bunch of weapons, being Antonio Brown. This is the big one. Let's get to your matchups because I know he's one of them.
Okay, so I'm actually not talking. Antonio Brown will probably be playing predominantly against David Amerson, one of the Raiders' corners they signed off the streets this year, who's playing actually pretty well compared to his teammates, and he's playing a good game. So in terms of production, I'm going to say these great receivers is Amari Cooper and Antonio Brown. Whoever gets more touchdowns this week could definitely decide the game because those both are probably the biggest weapons each team has on offense.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper is huge for the Raiders. They got him involved just enough last week, and they were able to win. I believe that was the first game the Raiders won without Cooper going over 100 yards receiving.
Yeah.
I think for the Raiders this week, if they can run the ball up the middle, this isn't a team who lines up in the I formation very often or even 2 running back sets.
Yeah.
But if they could do that this week on the road in Pittsburgh and show a little bit of that, willingness to punch him in the throat, punch him in the gut, and get the job done. You and I both love to see that. We've seen a lot of successful outside runs. I'd like to see a little bit more interior runs for the Raiders. I mean,
Bill Musgrave.
Go ahead.
Called a good game. Yeah, Bill Musgrave called a very good game. I mean, I think the Jets were like 6th in rushing yards allowed.
Prior to that game, they were definitely top 10.
Yeah, they were top 10. I think actually they were like 2nd or 3rd. They were up there, and this Pittsburgh defense does have a very good run defense as well. I think they're 8th in the league, allowing around 97 yards a game. But this is, like we said, this line in Oakland is no joke. They know how to play good football, and if they can get some push like they did last week, I can definitely see them opening up the run game to help Derek Carr out.
Yeah, and the big thing is when you have edge rushers like Bud Dupree and Jarvis Jones, it's going to force a lot of those runs inside. Last week against Cincinnati did find some success running up the middle. I mean, they have 2 explosive running backs in Bernard, who's the guy who can go outside, and then Jeremy Hill, who can run inside. So the Raiders need to definitely take advantage of some of those mismatches they can get inside the trenches between those A and B gaps.
Yeah, exactly. The Steelers team, they show more of their vulnerability in the A and B holes. So outside. The inside is what they got to hit.
Let's get to some of your key players, for this game.
Okay, so the key players, I'm going with 2 on offense and 2 on defense. First, obviously, it's going to be Ben Roethlisberger and Derek Carr. Derek Carr is definitely ascending in this league so far, and I think he's going to play a great game again. But I also think Ben Roethlisberger will play a great game. So it's going to be a huge matchup between who plays a better game. If Derek Carr throws an interception or Ben Roethlisberger does, those are all going to be very impactful plays in this game because I expect both guys to at least throw 2 or 3 touchdowns this game for sure.
Yeah, I agree because if we just the way that Carr's playing, then you'd expect Big Ben to bounce back.
Yeah, and also on defense, these guys are actually going to be going against these quarterbacks is Khalil Mack and Cameron Hayward for the Steelers. Khalil Mack definitely needs to get some pressure, whether it's in the outside or maybe moving him inside because Ben Roethlisberger he can definitely block outside coverage, outside press because he's so big.
Yeah,
so the Raiders definitely need interior pressure. And then again from Cameron Hayward, the guy's been playing great this year, 3-4 outside defensive end plays. So, if the Raiders can get him blocked, it's going to be huge. Those 2 defensive players I see being impactful players, and if they can make some plays.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. For me, one of mine, T.J. Carey versus Heath Miller. Carey questionable, but we both anticipate him to play. Excuse me. The Raiders did struggle early to cover tight ends. The last few weeks, it hasn't been a problem, although the Jets they are definitely not one of the bigger teams in the league who are going to throw to tight ends. And then the Chargers in that game were without Antonio Gates. Well. Yeah, so it was just Ladarius Green there.
The Raiders have given up 8 touchdowns so far this year to opposing tight ends. I think tied for worst in the league.
Yeah, I imagine it has to be up there with the Clevelands of the world. So
Heath Miller had around 10 catches, 100 yards receiving, and a touchdown last week against Cincinnati. So
yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger definitely likes Heath Miller. He likes Antonio Brown. Those guys are going to get definitely a lot of targets. And they're going to have to shut down one of them at least. Or not shut them down, limit one of them. To help their defense, because they can't just have this Pittsburgh Steelers defense firing at them like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you just wonder how the Raiders are going to be able to keep up defensively. This is a 31st ranked Raiders pass defense. If they go if he spread the Raiders out, that's going to create some definite mismatches. I mean, you got guys, the big addition of Jacoby Jones. It's not huge, but it's certainly enough that it could hurt the Raiders. And then Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, and then obviously Antonio Brown, the big number one. You'd expect to see a safety over the top. I mean, that takes away some sort for the Raiders. I mean, that's going to leave a lot of one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, this defense is definitely still what separates them from struggling earlier in the year and now is they've actually made some plays on defense. While they still are allowing a lot of the yardage, they get an interception. Woodson obviously has 5 picks on the year, and the Raiders have 8 picks through 7 games. They had 9 all of last year. So they know how to get the ball, and if they can continue to do that, force some interceptions, there's going to be mismatches. This team's going to get yards against this Raiders defense. Their secondary is still growing. They don't have the best players playing corner yet, and they need to make some plays.
Yeah, that's kind of what they've been doing. I mean, Woodson's sure helped out with that. Flip side, the Steelers secondary. I'd like to see the play of cornerback Brandon Boykin. He needs some more playing time. He did well with Philadelphia last year. I think he played just on special teams last year. He's a slot cornerback, he did well, as I mentioned, against Philadelphia. This isn't a Steelers secondary that's by any means, the league's best. Yeah. They're not going to shut anyone down. They play a lot of zone. They'll give up stuff underneath. And I think the Raiders and Derek Carr and company will be able to pick that secondary apart.
Just as Steelers secondary, as the Raiders secondary can't match up with the Steelers receiving core, I think it is the same for the Raiders and the Steelers on offense. So I think Crab and Cooper, I think they definitely outmatch the Steelers' cornerbacks, and they can make some plays in the game.
So let's get to this. Is this going to be a blowout? I mean, what's your prediction here?
I expect, after doubting the Raiders' offense this last couple of weeks, I expect them to be firing. I know they're playing the East Coast. It's a morning game, but I still think Derek Carr has been on a great rhythm. I expect them to just be throwing the ball and getting some points up early in this game. But I also expect the same from Steelers. So I do think whichever defense can step up later in the game is going to win this game. So I think it's going to be more in the higher scoring games. I'd say the defenses will step up since it's a morning game, but the score will be around 24-28.
All right, folks. Well, you heard it here first on the Matt Kern Show. That's Ravine Shanders' prediction. Us covering Raider football. Thank you guys for tuning in. Ravine, thanks for having you.
No problem. Appreciate it.